much for being here. We hope you're excited to learn some insights on what's happening with the future of fashion. And we want to thank Ms. Shirin for bringing us all together. And we hope to see you at the other events this weekend. It's going to be really exciting. We've got some demos, live demos, so you don't want to miss. And that fashion show, I tell you, that is the opportunity to really bring your style. If you're thinking about trying something new and going over the top, do it. That is the night to do it. So I'll just pass the mic. Everyone will introduce themselves, and then we'll get into some Q&A. My name is Yerou. I'm a personal stylist here in San Francisco, and I'm excited to learn what's happening with the future of fashion.
Thank you, Sue. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Zhang. I guess, am a fashion tech product marketer. I've been in the industry for the past 12, 13 years. When I first moved out here from the East Coast, I started actually doing digital analytics at companies like Sephora and Condé Nast, and then pivoted to product marketing the latter half of my career. What is product marketing? For those that work in tech, it's somebody that does the storytelling and the go-to-market and the launches for features themselves. So in the latter half of my career, I've worked primarily at startups, and most recently at eBay, leading global fashion. So love sustainability. Obviously, I'm very excited about what we're going to discuss on this panel. And in my free time, in addition to my 9 to 5, as they say, I also do personal styling, more for fun. And then also I founded a women's social club here called Ladies of SF. And actually, I ran into somebody that we recognize each other via TikTok, so you might also know me online. I'm not big, by the way. I don't have any followers, but if you happen to see me on your feed, KXC Styles. Awesome.
Hello, I am Melis, and I am representing Newport AI. We are newly founded Gen AI company that is experimenting in the field of fashion and art. So I will talk more about our innovative solutions and innovative creations, I must say. And I am personally interested in fashion and art. So merging these things that I'm passionate about, fashion and art, with my job in San Francisco, which is now the capital of the tech world, which is the future. So I'm here to talk about that a little bit. So great to meet with you all.
Should I go? You want to go? Oh, I think I'm double mic'd.
That's okay. Because this mic is for the camera.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Claudia Bennett. I work for the Human Rights Foundation, which is a nonprofit based in New York City. And our mission focuses on authoritarian regimes. And last week, we actually launched our in-house methodology that proves that 75% of the world lives under tyranny. And you might be wondering why I'm telling you this and why I'm even here. Authoritarian regimes house the most labor-intensive stages of production. And many authoritarian regimes rely on the textile industry for their economy. So this makes the fashion industry one of the top 5 contenders for modern slavery worldwide. So we started a program called Wear Your Values in 2017 when the fashion industry was focused on sustainability and ethical fashion, but basically totally on the environment. And we came in to kind of say, hey, even if it's made with recycled materials and the hands were made with under forced labor, is it really ethical? So there's that.
Really good. Amazing, and thank you everyone for waiting. Apologies for being late. My name is Yuliya Raquel, and I'm the CEO and founder of Pattern Fast. I have 30 years of experience in the industry. Been on every end of it. Started my own fashion brand in San Francisco in actually 2000. Exited, had an amazing run, fun, and actually switched from being the designer, owner, founder of the fashion brand, and took all of my experience and decided that it was time to transform the process and went into technology. So now I'm a tech founder. And so yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my company later, but thank you and great to meet you, everyone.
So, Claudia, where are your values? You expose the hidden human costs inside the global supply chains. When we talk about the future of fashion, what uncomfortable truths must the industry confront if real change is going to happen?
Thank you. Yeah, so I think there's two main uncomfortable truths, and both of them are acknowledgements. The first being that forced labor and modern slavery exists in this industry, and I think if everyone collectively acknowledged that, would be a whole lot steps further. And the second is that the fashion industry kind of loves dictatorships, which is a harder truth to swallow, through the lack of judicial recourse, through domestic remedies that people who are in forced labor in authoritarian regimes face. The fashion industry can kind of turn a blind eye. And we see this with all human rights issues worldwide, which is a long, long list at the moment, as we all know in this room, that people think the issue's bigger than them. And that even their change on a day-to-day basis won't make an impact. And it's completely the wrong approach. If we don't all have individual steps, we won't get a bigger outcome. And I do believe we're close to eliminating forced labor in the fashion industry. We just all have to work together.
Thank you so much. Yuliya, acceleration is powerful, but fashion has long struggled with overproduction and markdown cycles. How does compressing development time actually reduce waste rather than amplify it?
A brilliant question, by the way. It's interesting because it's very counterintuitive in a way, but if you think about fashion and the process, if anybody here is from the garment industry and product development side, oh, perfect, great. So you understand, oh, perfect. You understand the issues that are really causing, thinking about fashion industry, it's a business. And the time that it takes to develop a single garment between 8 to 100 hours just for one single garment. So the costs are exponential. So what ends up being is that, just think simple economics. A company has to recoup their costs. So in order for them to recoup their costs, single garment, they have to manufacture a lot of garments. You know, if something costs $10,000 just to recoup, you know, imagine you manufacture 1,000 garments, that's $10 per garment. 10,000 garments, that's $1 per garment. So that's why fashion industry is so, basically they have to overproduce to recoup their costs. Now, if we collapse that, if we take that cost and eliminate the cost, so the fashion industry now, there's barely any cost involved in, you know, in creating a garment, then there's no such need. So the companies can actually experiment. They can go to market faster. They can try, they can do small batch production. They can test them. There's no cost involved. So if we think of fashion industry as a business, and if we empower fashion industry to make the money, that actually directly impacts sustainability aspect. So in a way, these two are correlated. And so that's what I was committed to in creating my technology.
So let me then dive into that. The development moves from months to hours. How does that change the way design teams make decisions? Does speed increase creativity, or does it pressure it?
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah, well, thank you. Absolutely. Frankly, I believe it unleashes creativity. So think about that. Again, we're limited. Fashion is not strapped by lack of creativity. There's plenty of brilliant minds out there and creative minds. Fashion is strapped by the processes. We're still stuck in the 19th century process, even though we're using technology such as 3D CAD, still requires incredible amount of time. So if now AI came, you know, I've been doing this since 2013. I've been in AI, it's been a long time. So apparently AI has been around for a while. But anyway, now I took a whole different turn, a completely different turn. So the way I look at it is literally my job is to empower creativity. And not just in the large fashion brands. I'm not there to empower smaller designers, smaller independent designers, smaller brands, and kind of really truly democratize fashion industry in a way where everybody is going to benefit. The big companies, big brands are regaining control, unleashing their creativity, empowering the designers, empowering the technical teams, pattern makers. My goodness, these brilliant minds. If anybody knows a pattern maker, hug them, because these people are, the reason why we wear clothes, it fits, is because of them. Now, these people struggle so much because of this incredible laborious process, and nobody knows about it because we all give credit to whom? To designers. Pattern makers are brilliant. So my job is to free up those pattern makers, give them power, give them ability to switch their attention from these manual, very laborious tasks to creative tasks, so we can have more fun fashion to wear, better fitting clothes, while the technology takes care of all of the boring things that technology should take care of. And that's how I believe we'll unleash a lot of creativity.
Is the product already available?
It is available. It's called patternfast.com.
Yeah, and I think that's what AutoCAD did for designers as well, for architects. So let's move over to the customer, the consumer. Karen, you've worked across eBay, Sephora, Condé Nast, just to name a few, and startups, all shaping how consumers discover and purchase fashion. We're all shoppers, I'm sure. How is technology changing not just how we buy, but how we decide to buy? That's really critical.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess in the age of modern day AI, what's interesting is you mentioned earlier that AI is working the best and most efficiently when it takes the menial tasks, when it takes the boring tasks. But when you're thinking about product discovery, there's like so much creativity there, and there's also so many nuances and factors. I would say obviously with AI, there's a lot more refined searches like as you're discovering something. But if you think of the customer journey itself, AI itself hasn't really penetrated the conversion side of the house yet. And the irony of that is you still have these huge AI houses and Google as well with Google Shopping. And I recently, Like to Know It, launched their own AI discovery recommendation tool that are still building for that portion of the funnel. And there is an inkling of the industry realizing that right now, because I think y'all saw recently that ChatGPT just decided to roll back their focus on shopping, which is very interesting and probably not something that we would have expected considering how big commerce is in general. More specifically, I guess, at some of the companies that I've been at, I would say you guys have all probably used some type of, well, maybe not all, but some of you have used some type of like shade matching, or even back in the day, virtual reality was AI in its early form to figure out what lip color, what eyeshadow looks best on you. So that technology honestly hasn't changed that much. I think we still all struggle when you go into a store like that to figure out what's your exact shade, and I know there's a number of startups that are working to remedy that. More recently at eBay, they're an interesting one because so many startups have popped up in the resale space that I think have really been able to advance their tech further. For example, Depop, who eBay recently acquired. I would say that I think the big innovation there is not as much AI in the search and discovery, but more so the storytelling behind, okay, if you are a Gen Z, if you're a Gen Z and you like streetwear, you're going to go to Depop. If you are looking for a wedding guest dress and you have a more traditional classic style, Poshmark. So I think the storytelling and the marketing and I guess in some ways the merchandising is going to be more important than some of the tech.
Okay, you answered the second question. Melis, we're going to move on to you. You've got some exciting things that you're working on, and I want you to just share with everyone when you were first imagining the technology that you've created, and we're going to demo it tomorrow night, so we want to see you all there. What did you hope it would change about how people experience fashion?
So, at our company, we build immersive digital experiences to expand how people interact with generally art, fashion, and business environments. And from the beginning, we intentionally stepped into art and fashion world and find ways on how to use this creative technology we have to elevate these experiences. So that is how actually our AI fitting mirror came to life. And with the idea of making fashion like more interactive, like more expressive, and connected to the creative vision behind it, behind the designers and the brands. So what we do is for retail environments, the vision was to shift the dynamic of searching for the right garment into discovering it instantly, right? So how do we do that is we allow customers, like we can allow customers to engage with the brand's whole collection instantly and real time, and making fashion more accessible and personalized and actually giving a little magical touch. So at the same time, we wanted to empower the designers. Designers are the main part of the fashion. So they can also upload their sketches and see how their vision come to life. Like 3D real-time look with the garments, material, and how it fits on the person in real time. So when we were envisioning that, our goal was to just build a bridge between imagination and reality, and just elevate how people experience fashion environments. Yeah.
Thank you. There's so many questions on this, so many questions. Now, Claudia, for those of us in the room who love fashion, but we also care about ethics, what is one practical shift we can make tomorrow or tonight that moves us toward alignment with our values?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, beautiful garments aren't just about how they look and the aesthetics behind them. For me, it's really about every single person that's been involved, whether it's the person who picked the cotton, the person who dyed the fabric, the person who made the print, and obviously one of the final steps of stitching the seams. And I think it really depends on who you are in this room, right? There's little steps that everyone can make. I assume we all love fashion. You're all consumers of it. Ask the brands if they're considering where their factories are. If they're considering the subcontractors of those factories, that's really where the forced labor is permeating. And it's through all stages, right? As I just said, the cotton to the final product. If you're a designer yourself, I highly recommend a pro bono investigative journalist. We've found that if we go in and they know we're coming in, they'll put on a facade, and then the next day it'll go back to human rights violations. So you need someone that's doing backdoor investigations. If you're a lawyer, you can look to my home country of New Zealand. We just passed some of the best modern slavery law in the world, if I can say so myself. And you can make that at a state level, a federal level. Ideally, would have an international one, but that's in my wildest dreams. And for those in technology, like, please, I have no background in technology whatsoever, but making supply chains more transparent. They're extremely challenging. No one knows what's going on wherever, and I think the changing landscape of technology can really help us. So those are a few answers. I'm happy to discuss depending on who you are and what you can do, but every step is really a huge difference.
Thank you so much. Yuliya, you're modernizing the foundation of fashion manufacturing itself. If AI truly becomes embedded at the pattern level, how might that reshape labor, global supply chains, and the economics of manufacturing over the next decade? What's your projection?
It's a great question. I think that, well, frankly, the reason why I'm in this too is because of that. Bringing transparency, bringing expediency, cleanliness to the process. I'm literally seeing it as a cleanliness to the process. It really eliminates so many question marks, so many unnecessary samples, so many unnecessary steps. Effectiveness actually equals sustainability. You know, lesser productions. My big vision is going from everybody gets a design they love, everything gets manufactured locally, shipped to the consumer right here. It's transparent, fast, and it's possible. And that's actually the future of fashion. Give it 10 years. Maybe not the big brands, but the smaller brands, smaller designers, empowered indies. Oh my God, that's the future. And that's what technology makes available. So in a way, we will see localization of production. We'll see yarns that are made of sustainable, materials. There's so much potential, and that's what makes technology makes possible. That's pretty much the future.
Thank you. Miss Karen, your work in tech day to day and your day as a personal stylist and community builder, wow. Outside of that, as fashion becomes more digitized, what role does human connection still play in shaping trust and loyalty?
Absolutely. I actually think you could answer this very well as a personal stylist. But I was actually talking to a couple, ironically, AI founders. And the point of our conversation is, as AI sits in the world of e-com and discovery and fashion, I think to this day a lot of people still see that AI lacks taste. You might be able to teach it taste, but in the sense that we all have specific aesthetics around, obviously how we choose to dress ourselves, to interior design, like the couches and the rugs and even the table books that you decide to display. That is not something that they could really learn, and especially not at the individual level. I think at best they can be like a marketing agency and probably say like, oh, there's a Sue persona, there's a Karen persona, Yuliya, etc., Claudia. Like, that is probably the best that I can get in X years. I think that's a touchy thing to say, like in San Francisco, but specifically around human connection and the human touch and taste. As a marketer, I've seen a huge trend, and this is, originally I thought this was a post-pandemic trend where people have been really craving community building in real life. There are a bunch of community builders here in San Francisco and you guys are all here tonight, and there's really this movement to have more in-person events. Speed dating is back. Like, who would have known that that's back? That is back with a vengeance in San Francisco and New York. And I'm married, but I'm aware of it through my friends and just seeing it on socials. I think that's about it for community.
Claudia, in a global industry that spans nearly every country, every culture, how much power do consumers realistically have, and where are the limits of individual responsibility?
Yeah, this is a big one. I divide our work into 3 buckets, so consumers, brands, and governments with legislation. And not many of you in here, but the big name companies and governments, they're either going to decide to change or they're going to be forced to change. And they're going to be forced to change via consumers, is my view. And I really want to emphasize that we're not aiming for perfection. Like, we're aiming to just be better every day. The one conversation you might have with a friend or a family member or a colleague, they could then have it with 5 more people, who could have it with 5 more people, just to understand what's going on. Even if your friend maybe has a self-imposed uniform of a jeans and t-shirt just for sake of conversation, they're consuming and they're in fashion, whether they like it or not. So maybe not you in this room, but maybe your friends are like that. So I think individual responsibility is as much as you make it. And if you really care, you'll make the slight change in your day-to-day life. But we all have to start somewhere, and no change in history of human rights ever started with nothing, right? People decided to take a protest, especially when we look at garment workers historically. They were at the front lines of many, many human rights movements. So we should channel that. I'm not saying you all have to go protest tomorrow, but there are little steps that we can take.
Everyone needs to get in touch with Claudia, I think. Melis, in a global industry that spans nearly, oh no, that was my last question, I'm sorry. Melis. Your AI mirror, how did it evolve into what we're going to see tomorrow night?
So, I'm sure you all heard virtual trial. I'm sure you have seen AI integration. So, our product has evolved by being just a virtual try-on into becoming a true value-adding creative solution for designers, for brands. And how we realize it is it wasn't enough for the mirror to just show a garment on top of a person. It had to realize the fit, the movement, and the personal style of that person in real time. So what we did is our developers did a brainstorming session. We all do always as a team. And we integrated our existing creative technologies like augmented reality integrated visuals, Gen AI systems, and avatar platforms. We do all the Gen AI things. And then that allowed actually Mirror to be a part of a larger digital ecosystem for brands. So for designers, it became a bridge, a creative bridge between their vision and the outcome. And for brands, it became a storytelling tool, also a sales tool. And for shoppers and buyers, it turned the shop floor experience into a dynamic styling experience where they can try out anything they want in real time, in a shorter amount of time. And that you'll be seeing tomorrow. If you can make it, that would be great. And it has just evolved from like a cool tech demo into a part of brand and audience communication. So I just want to actually continue your thought on the creative process. What we do is definitely not taking away from the creative side when we are using AI and these creative technology tools. We do use these tools into our advantage of elevating the experience or interaction we have with art, right, with fashion, and elevate the vision of the creators and designers. So we are just a tool. We're using technology as a tool. Yes. So that is what we're doing as a company. That is our passion and goal. Yeah, that is how it's evolved. More than a virtual try-on.
Yes. Do you want to answer the question about AI influencing? Okay.
Oh no, yeah, thanks. Thank you.
I have one last question for the panel. If technology gives us opportunity to reimagine fashion from the ground up, what is one thing we should be brave enough to leave behind? Who wants to go first?
Ask it again, ask it again.
Ask it again. Ask it again. If technology gives us the opportunity to reimagine fashion from the ground up, what is one thing we should be brave enough to leave behind as we're building this, as we're building and moving forward? Yeah, Karen, you ready?
Well, it's not going to be the best answer, but I'm ready.
Let's go.
We can kick us off.
Kick it off.
I think related to fit, all the technology around fit, there is a reason why the sample size is 0. There's a reason why runway models are 6 feet and double zeros. But I think what I would love to leave behind is that one size fits all model. As a consumer, I think about how I interact with Pinterest and how I proactively seek out mid-size or certain like darker complexions. And I still do not get served that content. And I am actively seeking it and trying to train my algorithm. So that's extremely frustrating that technology isn't built for that. Not to mention AI itself isn't actually trained for other races. And there's actually a lot of intersections between like fashion with cultures and races as well as healthcare. So more to come on that. But yeah, I just want to leave behind like the one size fits all, and I really want to see. This is kind of like a pageant answer, like a Miss International pageant answer, but I really just want to leave that behind and make sure we're focusing on fit and real people.
I think that's an amazing answer, sweetheart. I think it's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, come on, Yuliya.
I'll be next brave soul.
There you go.
I'm going to actually add to what you said. I think what you said is brilliant. What I'd say we will be leaving behind is addiction to being told what to wear, being guided, being, we're losing our I see this being as a hyper individualization opportunity and hyper personalization, where literally becomes about you. A consumer, everything about fashion becomes your universe. And being guided and told, well, this is what trends are, and this is what you should be wearing because, WGSN said that, or, whatever, other brand, like the luxury heritage brand, said that, that's what's gonna happen. So in a way it becomes a co-creative process where consumer becomes a part of the process, and we actually have the courage to express our own unique, extraordinary selves with fashion as being one of the tools, fit being one of the, coloring, everything that makes fashion, and us loving fashion, and it just becomes hyper-personalized.
Love that. Would you like to share a thought?
I'm still thinking. Are you still thinking?
Yeah, I think mine will be a little classical answer, one of the classical ones, but oldies are goldies. So I don't think anyone would have that problem, or let's reframe it, that way of thinking in San Francisco. But I think in creative area, we are still redundant about that. We have still prejudices towards technology. And yes, I understand where it's coming from. Yes, every AI model is creating things right now. However, I hope those prejudices can be compartmentalized in the right direction, and where we can come to a place that we use technology into our advantage in our creative process. So, and on top of the creative process, of course, how we experience fashion as well. So that is what I'm hoping we can leave behind. The seeing technology as an enemy, but using it as a tool and to our advantage. Yes.
Love that.
Yes. Anyway.
Any thought? You don't have
I'll give
to.
it a go.
Personal, make it personal.
Make it personal. I mean, I think if technology is gonna do the amazing things that all these women believe in, so therefore now I believe in, I think then we should be leaving behind modern slavery in the fashion industry.
Yes.
That's kind of a cop-out answer from me, but
no,
if it's if we are going to imagine it, and as I said earlier, it's on the horizon, and I fully believe that, and the people in this room are probably the right people to talk to about it, but I think if technology can be as good as we want it to be, without being fearful of it, without listening to people who don't believe in it, then we should be good to go.
Fabulous. Thank you, panel. Thank you so much. This has been really exciting and innovative. I hope the audience, let's hear it for the panel. Come on now. This is really incredible. And of course, I'd like to pass the mic to Ms. Shirin to share a little bit, and she might have a question of her own for the panel.
I actually had a question for the panel. Don't mind me.
Come closer, you can't go that far.
Can we ask more questions after you do?
Of course, there's a Q&A for 20 minutes. So the question I had for the panel is that, as you know, the theme of tonight is future of fashion. So we wanted to see from each of your segment, where do you think the industry is going? Which direction? If it's the sustainability, tech, styling, something in the production rights and labor laws. So that was my question for each of you.
Who wants to start? Is this thing working? I don't even hear it.
We can hear you all.
Okay, you can hear us in the back?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll start.
go, great. Let me just wrap this back around. Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Shirin, I think you answered the question yourself with the question. It's actually going exactly where you're saying it is going. It's going towards sustainability. Even if they don't want to, they have to. because laws everywhere. You know, like they're banning overproduction in Europe now. I mean, you cannot. I mean, huge step. Europeans are more advanced in that way, but we'll follow. I believe that. You know, ethical manufacturing, absolutely. Consumers are demanding. It's super stylish and chic to be ethical. You know, it's a trendy thing right now. So everybody wants that. Even if they don't believe in it, they want it because it's cool. And it's just creativity, fit, styling. You just can't get around it. I love your technology idea. My goodness, this is amazing. We should talk. It's. I think it's definitely going exactly what you're saying. And give it another 5-10 years, we'll be shocked because you know we'll have new fibers. We'll have you know things that are much more sustainable, less chemical, less you know synthetic fabrics, more recyclable. It's just and not because it's necessary, but because they have to. And you know because we have small indies coming on board as well who are like all about it too. So that's what I see.
Do you want to stop?
So I actually am going to talk about hyper-personalization, and I think I want to add hyper-creativity as well, because back in the day, being creative, being a designer, having that chance to be creative was more limited. You had to go to school, right? There were more traditional ways. But with the tools that we have in today's world, people who couldn't pursue creative careers can be creatives as well. But of course, it is in our hands to build that or draw that ethical line between protecting the creativity and authenticity and the vision of the technology and how we utilize technology as a tool, not in the creative process. So I think technology will give us the gift of being more creative, I would say.
Yeah. I love that. Just to piggyback off of what Yuliya mentioned about sustainability, I also think that largely. I also hope that this is true. I think we're already starting to see like consolidation of players within the sustainability space in terms of resale players merging, acquiring each other. I would love to see some more activity in the rental space, whether it's peer-to-peer or just some innovations in the clothing rental space. Clothing swaps, for example, I heard they're big in Australia, but for whatever reason, we don't have that infrastructure here, which is crazy because people do love it. It's really very well received. And then last but not least, something around, you know, AI closet digitization. I think at the end of the day, like it's a digital world. Like we're probably going to have that at our fingertips soon, and there's a number of players that are working on it right now. So we have to see who wins in that battle.
I have so many thoughts on this, but I hope that the human connection does not go away. And sustainability is a big goal for me, and I just want to share this little nugget that 75% of my wardrobe is secondhand, hand-me-down, borrowed, stolen, and all of the like. And I'm very proud of that. It's so exciting that I went through my closet and I did my inventory. And there was one other point that I wanted to make, and I can't think of it right now because that's what happens. Oh, yes. So I was in New York at New York Fashion Week recently, and I was on a panel as well. The organization that had the event is called Outie, and Outie, O-U-T-T-I-E, she is encouraging people to rent out your closet. So that is playing to your point, Karen, and Karen was there with me at the event. And someone came up to me at the end of the event and asked me how I think that people or how the industry will change. How will the industry improve its ethics? and its sustainability. And I said, really, it has to not only begin with the manufacturers and the companies and the brands, but also with us as the consumers who are used to this immediacy. Just think about that word, immediacy. We want it now. And what has that thought and desire done to the fashion industry? And I'll just leave it there, honestly. Mic drop. Shirin? Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
No, Claudia, go.
I think the future of fashion's bright, in all honesty. I know I've done a lot of doom and gloom and probably,
it's reality.
It is reality, unfortunately. But I think I'm excited for, maybe this is again not the right room, but for the general public to just see fashion as an art form again and see it as a way of expression, rather than buying into all the trends and feeling like they have to buy something because someone's worn it and then they're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how I would style this 5 ways or whatever the magic number is. So I think it's bright, and I do think we're gonna get there.
I'm for it. I'm here for it.
Oh.
Shirin, do you want to share a little bit more about fashion community?
Week? Sure, I could. But how about we do the Q&A?
Q&A, yeah.
Yes.
Who's got questions?